Welcome to ROAR, the Risk of Aneurysm Rupture Study. Aneurysms in the brain are more common than most people realize and are found in about 3% of the population. Despite being so common, it remains controversial how frequently they'll go on to burst and cause bleeding on the brain. That is a problem because if we don't know how frequently they burst, we don't know whether we should treat them prophylactically with procedures that themselves carry significant risks. To date, there has only been one study of aneurysm rupture risk that included patients from the UK. That study found a very low rate of rupture. Consequently, in Britain, a relatively small proportion of patients with aneurysms are treated. There are other substantial studies from Finland and Japan available, however. Those studies had very different results with significantly higher risks. What we don't know is whether those differences are because of genetic differences, differences in the environment, such as smoking habit, or due to differences in how the studies were conducted. And if it was the latter, we don't know which one is the one we should be using. The ROAR study sets out to resolve these issues. Its first aim is to see whether our best available risk prediction models, called the phases model, apply to UK patients. The second aim is to see if we can then use more specific aspects of the patients and their aneurysms to develop more personalized risk predictions. And the third aim is to see whether the risks from phases translate to the next 30 or 40 years of a patient's lifetime, which is what they're really interested in. To answer these questions is not necessarily as straightforward as it seems. Because aneurysms don't burst that frequently, and the lengths of follow-up we were talking about are very long, it requires a very large study. We will do this by going around neurosurgical units in the UK and collecting as much information as we can about patients with unruptured aneurysms and their scans. That should give us a good picture of what patients are being seen. It will not necessarily tell us which ones go on to rupture. The problem here is that that can happen at any time, and patients won't necessarily come back to the same hospital that they were originally seen. To resolve this, we'll use national databases of hospital admissions to match to those patients that we'd found to track who subsequently had a burst aneurysm. And through that, we should be able to resolve all the outstanding questions about aneurysm risk. We hope you found it interesting finding out about our study and look forward to answering these important questions for patients everywhere.